Uni students of Reddit. What is the biggest fuck you that your university gave during COVID? For those of you taking the exam in a different time zone and hence early in the morning or late at night, or in places with additional challenges, such as power cuts, we realize this situation demands a lot from you. So good luck to you in particular. Apostrophe. Good luck, thanks school, I'm paying thousands a year to attend. To not attend. They told us to prepare to leave for 3 weeks, but not pack up all our stuff. We weren't allowed to come back to campus to get our things either. They had strangers pack all of our things and store them in a storage facility, unless we wanted to pay market rate to ship all of our belongings home. My uni did something similar, except they didn't touch the stuff and use the dorms as quarantine areas for people entering the country. Soon enough videos of strangers going through people's stuff showed up. Oh my god. I would be so angry. My uni gave us 2 weeks to move out. Everyone rushed to buy plane tickets. 2 days later they said we actually had only 3 more days to leave. Everyone had to rebook their flights because they had already booked flights expecting to have more time. They didn't refund tuition, didn't pay student workers or hourly wage staff. I had a full ride scholarship, but after room and board and the difference between full ride and actual tuition still ended up with $25k a year. I was working 3 on-campus jobs as a full-time student. Job #1 was stipend-based teaching job, and the school said they would determine later what the adjusted amount of my stipend would be working remote. My boss said he thought it would either be the same or more, as my work was obviously much more difficult remote. I kept working 6 hours per week, and after 5 weeks they announced the adjusted rate of my stipend was 0. Job #2 was wage and couldn't be moved remote. Job #3 was a teaching assistant job and was moved remote for 4 HRS/week. I kept logging my hours, but noticed I wasn't getting paid. One day about 4 weeks in, I tried to log hours and notice I'm blocked from the system. I asked my boss and he talked to the payroll person, who said I wasn't authorized to work remotely and couldn't get paid for any remote emails. I forwarded her the email that said I was approved to work remotely for this tar job. She said fine, but I had to prove I actually worked those hours. I sent her time-stamped videos of my lectures. She never responded to my next 3 emails or 2 of boss's emails. I still haven't been paid. They gave back $500 for room and board for half of the semester, which cost $9k per semester, so the amount was about $4k shy of fair. They told university staff that they could expect pay and hour cuts, and they appreciated everyone's sacrifices for the good of the school. Same email, not a paragraph later, said they are committed to not shrinking their $4 billion endowment, and the good of the school had to be put above the good of individuals. Edit. Prior to COVID, this was my dream school. It's an Ivy in my home state that I have dreamt of going to since I was a kid. Now, I'm not feeling as much of the love for the good of the school. The philosophy and ethics professors must be losing their S over that, or planning a lesson around it. Hiked tuition for next term of online classes. That's super F, and I'm so sorry. They hike it every spring by 7-10%. We didn't think they would because of the situation, but pulled a classy move and hiked it by 12%. International students don't qualify for any aid either, so I'm thinking about selling my kidney. Lots of people are taking gap years. Maybe you could do something like that. A 12% increase is huge. I wouldn't pay it for sure. Taking a gap semester, forget year, voids the Canadian study permit all international students receive. I'll be deported and asked to withdraw. Fun times. I go to a community college, not uni, close bracket. This is my last term, and I was halfway through the 3 classes needed to graduate. Only select programs were moved online. Mine was not. Despite it not being hands-on, we're on hiatus until it's safe to come back. The last update was from the president of the college congratulating students for making it through the winter semester. Similar situation to me, but with a lab course. School said they would update us on labs and other in-person classes by the end of spring break. That never happened. As a person who works for a university, I can assure you that the reason you haven't heard anything is because they haven't got a fucking clue how to make it work. We can't even come up with a way to make staff canteens safe. Every teaching space will only be able to take 25% of its normal capacity, and in many institutions, having enough room for everyone was already a problem pre-COVID. It's not that they don't care. They've just been given an unsolvable problem and they don't want to make any more promises they can't keep, or risk everyone's safety by bringing people back with a half-baked plan that is doomed to fail. It's not okay that you're being put through this. I would flip my lid if this happened to me as a student, but a lot of S is broken, and nobody knows how to fix it yet. They returned like $30 of tuition because we wouldn't be able to use the gym. I got $77 back for my parking pass, and that's also far. I got literally $16. It was more insulting than anything at that point. I'm sure at that point they are just returning money they think they are legally obligated to. Oh, for sure they ran it through a battery of lawyers before returning a cent. This is describing my experience in a Belgian university. Your mileage may vary. Hey, notice how you've been in law school for the past 4 years, where you need to rely heavily on written books in the library for all of your research, as almost nothing is digitalized. Yeah, we've closed the library. Your deadlines for big research projects, including your master's thesis, remain unchanged. You also need to pass at least 30% of the classes you take in your first year to be allowed to continue. This has always been the case. Considering the less than ideal learning/teaching opportunities this year, a lot of freshmen are, rightfully so, worried about their future education. The university has been very clear that they will not be changing any of these requirements unless the statistics show that a significantly lower amount of people passed. This does not affect me at all, but it still rubs me the wrong way. If this was really their intent, they would publish last year's and this year's statistics after finals are over. But for some reason I can't shake the feeling they won't, and we'll just have to take their word for it that there was no significant discrepancy. I do want to add that my professors have done their absolute best to continue teaching their lessons, and I do not hold a grudge against any of them. I just hold one against the university. Not me. Girlfriend's niece attends a US college. State shut down. School shut down. Etc. Had to be out by X date. Then afterwards they say we never said you had to leave. You broke your lease for the dorm. I teach in a post-secondary school. They moved my classes online, then cancelled them. Now the classes are coming back in June and I didn't get any. And I bet you still have to pay full tuition. Oh, I'm not a student. I just teach. I was just low-key let go. One of the departments accused 90% of students of cheating on online quizzes for things such as similar incorrect multiple choice answers. They were bragging about how good they were at catching people when in reality they just didn't teach well online and nobody knew what it was supposed to be, lol. My university got in a fight with the students in the dorms. Students who were told to leave for the semester were told they would not get a refund at all. After the backlash they gave a 1/4 refund, even thought it was halfway through the semester. Housing is paid by semester here too. Despite more backlash, the university held firm at a 1/4 refund. Told us we would have a safety net, no detriment policy, for our grades this year, which means we will get an average for both things done before COVID and an average overall. And the highest will count, which is great. Except, both the before and the overall average will include our dissertation grade. Our dissertation is not due until September and has been hugely affected by corona. Almost everyone had to design their experiments on my course, and is a huge chunk of our grade. So that's a pretty useless safety net. I study graphic design and I'm in my final year now. Our course works in such a way that our Sem 1 and Sem 2 grades aren't separated. So if you have your work reviewed halfway through the year, it will be marked as if it was submitted at the end of the year. Because of this, most students in my class would barely have a pass come the first hand in at the end of semester 1. We got this safety net thing implemented, where your grade cannot be lower than what you was awarded at the end of semester 1. Sure, that works for some courses, but not ours, because as I have said, the grade we got at the end of Sem 1 was marked as if it was submitted at the end of the year, leaving every student with a super low semester 1 grade. Basically, we are F, unless we meet the grade we would have otherwise met if COVID hadn't came about. No real safety net. Everyone has been losing their minds. I had a really good experience moving online. All of my professors, except for one who was S even before the shutdown, were fantastic and perfectly adapted their courses to online, even though they'd never taught online or used Zoom. I was pretty impressed. It was pretty much class exactly like it was before, but staring at a computer instead of faces in person. My only complaint is that when pressured about parking passes and why the school wouldn't be refunding money for passes not used, the response was, because the garages still need upkeeping. Well, that's not what I'm paying for. But whatever. A couple of students have sued for parking and other fees, so we'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, in my daughter's classes, somehow only her ceramics teacher did a good job online, which makes absolutely no sense, but there you have it. Why is this so funny? How does a ceramic class work online? Is your daughter using mud from the garden? 1. Full tuition for Zoom University. 2. University tried to get Proctorio, spying software, for our exams, was shut down pretty hard by 1/5 of our entire uni signing a petition and massive online campaigns. 3. University now says that only 50% of rooms may be refilled for semester 2, leaving 50% of semester 1 students without their rooms. 4. Did I mention how bad online learning is and how lecturer dependent it is with no oversight? After exams we were no longer told what we got right or wrong. We were only given our scores. This is a nursing program where exams are multiple choice and most answers are technically correct, but you have to choose the most appropriate response to be correct. Others are multiple choice and you must select all that apply. Select 1 out of 5 wrong, or don't select one that is correct, and the entire question is counted as wrong. Knowing what you missed and the rationale behind which answer is correct is paramount to correcting your thought process about treatment modalities. But we are not doing that anymore. F us, I guess. Oof. Where do I even start? I think my university did a great job at keeping the dorms and dining halls open, and I am thankful for that, but the rest is extremely bad. Full tuition and fees, even though no events etc. can take place, telling international students they could leave before their country shut down, and the stuff in their room will be moved to the lockers for free. Now they'll need to pay €85, which is a decent price, but still. Holding exams online, even though the campus Wi-Fi is unreliable, telling me and some other students we didn't have a webcam in our PCS, and they've been sold out everywhere for a good 2 months or so to just buy a laptop, despite many students' bad financial situations not accepting medical notes by the campus psychologists, even though the situation puts some students who have mentally struggled before under even more pressure, not enforcing the exam periods 24/7 quiet hours, and yet forcing us to take the exams in a quiet environment because the program flags any conversation/music/background noise as cheating. Last but not least, rejecting a pass option, even though almost 40% of the student body signed a petition for it, and not even agreeing to discussing other options in the student parliament. Edit. We inserted the spaces that I initially left because they were somehow deleted in the app. We turned in the first part of a year-long project in last semester, and were supposed to get a corrected version of it back this semester, after which we were supposed to use the corrections to finish the project and turn it in this week. Instead, the department completely refused to hand back any form of the project, not even a digital copy, and kept the deadline the same. This is despite the fact that my university has opened its doors again to much of the faculty and some of the students, although less than 10% of the student body is on campus at any given time. What makes it worse is that a library has an backward order online and pickup system in place, meaning with a little communication, it would likely be possible for the department to just drop the crates of corrected projects off at the library and have the library staff organize them for pickup. Goes without saying that any complaints from the students who didn't make a copy of the project, or people like me who lost their copies of it, Hard drive died unexpectedly. Were not given any slack or sympathy. Halfway understandable. But still. Close bracket. All in all, I guess it's not the worst thing the uni could have done. But it's still pissing me off. Last semester for us is only a 12-week instead of 14-week semester. So we could do a 4-week placement. We had 3 weeks before placement started, and the first week of it was just the school preparing for online. We had 1 week of work, and 1 week of exams. The week of work was effing insane. They all added online work on top of all the final work we were supposed to do. Then we had exams and then placement. Except we didn't get placements. Instead of giving us placement in an actual work atmosphere, they made us do GoVenture SEER simulations. As if that does F all for us. They did not give us the option to postpone our placements, or wait to get an actual job or anything. I missed out on the only actual work experience, so they could push us through to graduate. Which we aren't even doing. Some students started a petition to call for a cut in the course fees for the final term, which would be around $1,500 for each enrolled student. They simply said not possible.